Hey everybody, this is Denise from loomahat.com. Today I want to show you the basics of loom knitting. It's how you make a hat like this without knowing how to knit. And I'm going to show you that using a blue circular loom and one strand of yarn. Okay, this is basically loom knitting 101. Okay, so we're not going to complete anything. I'm just going to show you what you would do this is all you need to know in order to make most of your loom knitting projects. Okay, so you're going to need a strand of yarn. Okay, normally I use two, but for demonstration purposes we're going to use one. And I'm going to make a knot. There's something called a slip knot. This is not a slip knot. This is just a basic knot. And I normally would just wrap my anchor peg, but if you're just starting, it's a good idea to get your yarn secure, okay? So it doesn't just get crazy and get loosed. And then you're going to start counterclockwise with your yarn, pulling it to the back and then over to the front, and you're going to wrap your peg, okay? And you're going to do this completely around. You're just going to wrap each peg, okay? And like I said, you do basically the same thing regardless of the shape of your loom. And these come in different materials. You can find them in wood, and you know, this one's plastic. There's handmade ones, and people recycle all kind of things and make looms out of them. So, but this is your basic nifty knitter loom. Okay, in order for you to loom knit, you need a bottom and a top. Okay, some folks will push these this row of yarn down to the bottom. I don't do that. It doesn't make my way or their way right or wrong. You're just gonna have to figure out which one works for you. Okay, this is the one that works for me. And so I just, as I'm going around, I push that top one down a little, and then I come up and I put the second row right above it, okay? And you just continue. Not too loose and not too tight. Okay, when you get here to this last one, after they've all been wrapped twice, you need to have at least two. You can bring this one forward and grab it with your thumb. Get your hook, and you're going to find that there is a little dent right here on your peg. So you can rest your hook there, and that's going to help you bring that bottom loop over the top. See that? Now this one is secure, and you can let it go. Okay, you don't need to hold on to it anymore, and you can go on to the next peg, and you'll do that until you've returned here and you've done that last one. And at that point you're going to start to wrap your loom again, and this is how you get your rows. And as rows accumulate, well, the yarn starts to gradually get longer and longer, and at that point you're knitting. Okay, so this is it. You're loom knitting. All it takes is you pull that bottom loop over the top and to the back, and you create rows of knitting. You don't need to learn anything major. No special words needed here. Just as my friend Jackie would say, just flip that bottom one over the top. Okay, and once you've done enough of those and you feel pretty safe, usually at about my third row, I come here to the bottom and I let this knot loose. You don't want to just leave it there because that'll mess you up. So at some point just let it loose and push it to the back. And then just wrap the next peg and keep going. And again, try not to make it too tight or too loose. If you make it too tight, you're going to have a hard time pulling them over. If you make them too loose, you can end up with a lot of ugly holes in your hat. And personally, I like my hats to be nice and thick, and so I tend to use heavy yarn and 2 strands when I loom. Okay, and you could do this by just either having 2 of these. In some cases, some people have 3 if it's very thin, but I tend to have 2. Okay, and again, just wrap. And as you can see, it's getting longer. Okay? Alright, friend, that's all it takes to loom. So I hope this helped, and come back and watch more looming videos, and you'll get projects done real quick and real easy. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.